Hi everyone. The culture that I decided to talk about today was the Winnebago tribe. It is a Native American tribe. They're actually not native to Nebraska. Their ancestral lands are in Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Um, so they did sign some treaties, as was fairly common back then for the tribes to sign treaties with the United States government. So they signed one in 1816, as well as a boundary and cessation treaties that were signed in the 1820s and 1830s. And as a result, they lost most of their tribal land, which again was in those upper Great Lake area. And then they were moved to the Winnebago Reservation, which is south of Sioux City. And that was established in 1865 and 1874 when they signed those two treaties. And then some of them were relocated to the South Dakota area. But as a result of it being very different from their ancestral lands, they decided to migrate down the Missouri River to kind of join up with the other half of their tribe in Nebraska. Um, and this tribe is federally recognized and organized under the 1934 Indian Reorganization Act. And I did mention earlier the Indian reservation, but there are Native Americans who do live off the reservation. For example, I had a friend of mine in high school who was Winnebago, and she lived in Lincoln, so that's about like 2.5 to 3 hours outside of the Winnebago reservation. And it's not uncommon, especially with the younger generation, for them to kind of leave the Indian reservation or not live on the Indian reservation at all. And so my interesting fact is that the Winnebago reservation does have its own hospitals, and many reservations do have their own kind of healthcare system. But they do work with outside sources, such as the Center for Disease Control, to kind of implement teaching and public health policies on the reservation. And the specific example that I happened to look up was for diabetes. So they were working with the CDC to kind of figure out a way to teach public health and to teach them about ways to prevent type 2 diabetes on the reservation. Um, so you may not work with a whole lot of traditional Winnebago people when you're just working in a generalized hospital. But you can work on the reservation as a healthcare provider. You don't have to be part of the tribe. My sister actually worked in the ER. She wasn't on the Winnebago. She was at the Rosebud Reservation, which is outside of Valentine. But that is an opportunity if you were interested in that. And then the artifacts that I had were, can't see it very well, but were quill work. And this is one of the crafts that they were very well known for. And that top artifact right there, that is a quill box, and the bottom are quill boxes. And then in the middle there, those are quill baskets. And quill work is the softening and dyeing of porcupine quills, and they would weave that onto leather or birch bark. Um, and the most stunning examples of this are on war shirts, which would take a whole year for a skilled weaver to make. But those aren't very common anymore. People usually don't make those as often as they do the baskets. So more often than not, you'll see it in a museum, or you'll see it as a family heirloom that was passed down through the generations. Um, Alongside the war shirts, they also made medicine bags, moccasins, jewelry, as well as the birch bark boxes and the baskets that I showed you guys in the picture. So that is the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. Thanks for listening.